Hey, welcome back to my channel, Indieauthor Jill. I'm Jill, and I read and review self-published and indie-authored books. Today we are looking at The Inflictor by M.J. Bavis. So, first of all, I'll tell you what the book is about. The main character is Eryna. She is an inflictor, and in this, Bavis uses our modern world, but it's a futuristic, apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic story where wars and diseases and nuclear wars have broken out and left most of the earth uninhabitable, causing people to kind of move in closer towards each other, and there's a one nation, the whole world has fallen under one national rule called the dictatorate. And along with all of this, allegedly from some of the nuclear fallout, some people are being born sensed. Some of them are human lie detectors. Some of them are trackers. They're better than any bloodhound. And then there are inflictors like Eryna and Raiden, a fellow inflictor. And these people, when they touch you, they can touch you and do absolutely nothing to you, or they can touch you and cause pain. And they can decide how much pain they want to cause a person, and depending on their pain, what they send through to people will kind of determine how strong their jolting actually can be. Obviously some jolters are more powerful than others, but the one thing that holds true is an inflictor can't jolt another inflictor. So if you have Eryna and Raiden, and Eryna wants to cause pain to Raiden and she grabs his arm, she can send her whole force of juice through him and nothing will happen. Because an inflictor can't hurt another inflictor. It's not necessarily a law that they can't, they just physically can't. There's also Matthias, who is familiar with inflictors, and he was working for another organization called the Crate, and the Crate started off as an organization that wanted to protect and fight for the rights of the sensed, because all the sensed are basically, if it is found out that you are a sensed, you are drafted into the dictatorates, and you, depending on what you do, if you are an inflictor or if you are a lie detector, you are sent to the Grail and you live there. You give up your freedom in order to protect the freedom of everybody else, and you don't have a choice in this. You are forced to work for the Grail, and they try to paint a lovely picture of, especially for the inflictors, of your job is not, you're not going to inflict a lot of people, you're not going to hurt a lot of people. Basically, it's enough to know we have you, and people will choose to not commit crimes, because if they commit a crime, they have to come here and get jolted, and they don't want that. So you're not actually doing anything other than being an intimidating presence, and we're going to give you a place you're going to have a room to yourself, you're going to have a room, you're going to have a bed, you're going to have food, we will take care of all of your needs. No, you won't be able to go outside and have a normal life, but that's because people out there are trying to kill you, and we're trying to keep you safe. And so this is the story that the dictatorate is telling to the inflictors and the interrogators, the lie detectors, and then once they get in there, they find out that, yeah, none of that is true. they have a room, but they have to share the room with at least three other. They have roommates. The beds are not comfortable. The food is barely palatable. And they're constantly being employed to torture or extract information from people for crimes, or because they're they want information about something that they're involved in. Usually the information is that they're trying to get out of them is to find other crate members. Now the crates, like I said, they originally, when they found out what the Dictorate was doing to how they were using the Inflictors and how the Inflictors in the sense were being treated at the Dictorate, they started off as a rebellion group that wanted to free them and to give them the same rights as everybody else. And eventually it turned into we don't want to free them, we don't want them to have the same rights, we just want to eliminate them. So if you're a crate, your job is to find the sensed and to kill them, to eliminate them, so that they can't be used against you. And you're led to believe that you are doing a service to the community by eliminating the sensed rather than trying to help them get free. And if they had stuck with the rebellion of we're just trying to get you free and let you have your freedom back and let you have your rights, they may have had more assistance and less resistance. But humans are gonna be faulty. What can you do about it? There are still people out there that are trying to get the Inflictors free and give them the same rights because they know Inflictors personally, and they know that they're not all bad. There are some Inflictors that actually enjoy causing pain to others, and but there's a lot like Eryna, who people will attack her and she will let them, like somebody stabbed her with a knife and she still is attacking them with everything she has except for her jolting ability, because she doesn't want to hurt anyone. She's just trying to keep a friend from getting hurt. Because this guy that stabs her is trying to hurt somebody else that she doesn't think deserves to be hurt. So you have a lot of people like Eryna who, yes, I'm an Inflictor, but that doesn't mean I want to be. That doesn't mean I want to hurt anybody. That doesn't mean I want to cause any harm to anybody. But when you enter the Grail, you're kind of stuck there. And so Eryna, being the stubborn person that she is like, I don't think so. For every trap, there has to be a way out. And so she is determined that she's going to find a way out of the Grail. And she is going to be free, and she's going to go and live her life the way she wants to live it, and not the way the Dictorate wants her to live it. Trying to cover all the bases of what the book is about without giving any spoilers. And like I said, you got Raiden, who's also Inflictor. He's one of those that he enjoys. He's perfectly fine working for the Dictorate, except he's not really on their side. He doesn't trust them any more than Eryna does. He's looking for information. He's looking for ways to exploit the Dictorate, because he's of the opinion of knowledge is power. So the more knowledge I have, the more power I have, and the more I can control my destiny here in the Grail. Matthias is like, the Dictorate should not even be a thing. Let's get rid of that and get the Sensed free. And then, like I said, you have the Great. Now, the way that this works is typically the parents, when they can pretty much tell, it's pretty much obvious if a baby is sensed at birth. And so if you have a child in a hospital, usually the hospital will alert the Dictorate that a baby Inflictor has been born. The Dictorate will come and put a tracker in the baby's ankle, and then tell the parents that they have 1 year with the baby, and then after that they're taking the baby and they're going to give it to a guardian to raise up until they're 18. Once they're 18, they're drafted into the Dictorate to be inflictors and enforcers in the Dictorate's ward. To avoid this, many parents have started doing home births, and because they're having home births, there's no one to report that the baby is an inflictor, so they run off. They just live a normal life, and they homeschool the child and teach the child how to control their powers and how to not get caught by the Dictorate. So there are some lie detectors and trackers and inflictors out there, but now if your kid is a tracker, that's not that big of a deal because the trackers still get their freedom. The trackers are the only ones that get their freedom, so they show up once a week, they get their assignments, they track down who they're supposed to track down, and they give the information to the Dictorate. The Dictorate goes after whoever they've tracked down, and their job is done until the next week when they get their next set of assignments. Because the trackers, there's no way to tell a tracker is a tracker. There's no obvious way to tell the tracker is a tracker. So, as a result, the trackers aren't in danger, and that's the way the Dictorate looks at it, is the interrogators and the inflictors and the lie detectors, they are in danger, therefore they have to live at the Dictorate, at the Grail. I typically have 2 to 3, maybe 4 books going at a time. I usually have one in my car. I usually have one by my bed. This one originally started off by my bed, and then it kind of just shoved the other books aside, and because I just kept wanting to find, okay, what's going to happen next? What's happening next? What's happening next? I couldn't. This is one of those unputdownable books. You just want to keep going with it. And the twists and turns that it has, they're not unexpected. Like, you don't see them coming, but when they do come in, it's like, of course that's... Of course. Why didn't I see that? Why didn't I know that was a thing? That was going to be a thing, you know. I really enjoyed the book. Like I said, to the point that all the other books that I was reading was just like, okay, I will get back to you in a minute. Let me find out what's happening with Eryna. I need to know, you know, what's going on. How did the fire start? Who started the fire? You know, what's Matthias's endgame? What is Raiden's endgame? Is the Dictorate as bad as what? Because you want to believe the corrupt government angle. But then there are times when you're like, maybe they're onto something. Well, no, you know, and you kind of go back and forth. And I like that nobody's perfect, because you know who you want to believe, and you know who you want the villain to be. But it's really, it's not black and white. The Dictorate isn't just, hey, we're bad, we're a big evil government, and we're just going to be a big evil government. Yes, they do paint a better picture on the outside, so that when you get in, you're like, yeah, everything you told me was either a lie or a half-truth. So you're immediately like, of course we're not trusting the government. The government's a corrupt entity. But then some of the things that it's like, okay, they did this and they explain themselves really well, and it's like, yeah, okay, but also, but you have the same thing with Raiden. You know, Raiden seems like he's very much, like, he goes back and forth. Like, sometimes he's very interested in Eryna as far as making sure she's safe and everything, and she's comfortable and helping her. And then other times it's like, oh yeah, I just wanted information out of you. And other times it's like, well, you know, it has nothing, like, it doesn't seem like information is all that he's worried about. Like, there's a underlying, I feel like I have an obligation to look after you. And Matthias is the same way. He acts like he's just really broody and grumpy, And then other times he's like constantly trying to protect her, and he's like, well, I feel responsible for you for reasons. And she's like, none of that makes sense. Why would you be responsible for me? I have told you that this thing and this thing and this thing that you said are your fault are not your fault. You know, that should be good. You are alleviated of all guilt. Go live your life. But then he's there again to protect her. And he's like, well, I owe you. And she's like, you owe me nothing. You know, so it's like everybody acts like they have her best interest at heart, and then they turn around and act like they could care less. And so you're right there with Eryna of, who do you even trust? And none of them are black and white. None of them are all in to protect her, and none of them are all in to just use her. They all have their reasons for what they claim is their reasons for doing things. So, I like the three-dimensional, how well fleshed out everything is, you know. So, I will leave the link to the book in the description below. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.